What's going on, guys? It's J Mass, and I'm back again with another dope New England adventure. So today's exploration is going to be a pretty quick one, but a really cool one nonetheless, because this is a very interesting location with not a lot of information about it online. It's a pretty obscure spot. Now, I first came here a couple of months back in late 2023 with Tom from Go Explore. We both scoped this place out, and I kind of had it lingering in my mind for a while. This is really just a bizarre location. As you can clearly see, I'm currently walking along a highway overpass, and I do apologize for the loud noise in this video. As I'm walking across a highway, there's all the cars and trucks beneath us just roaring past on the road. This is actually the abandoned Interstate 95 overpass here in the town of Georgetown, Massachusetts, a small town in the northeast of Massachusetts, not too far from the North Shore. And the Interstate 95 overpass is pretty interesting. This thing really is abandoned for all intents and purposes. You can see it is absolutely covered in graffiti and tags. It's rusted, there are cracks in the asphalt. You know, there's weeds growing on the sides. You have random things of dirt like this. This thing is a completely neglected highway overpass. Now, it was built in 1974 to connect the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest, which is actually where this is located. This is a pedestrian bridge connecting two sides of a state forest. Now, Interstate 95, which is actually one of the busiest highways, not just here in Massachusetts, but in the United States, cut through the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest. It was actually in the early 1970s when the highway cut through, which prompted the construction of this bridge in 1974 to connect both sides of the forest. And no one really knows when it started to fall into disrepair, but as of today, this thing is not looking in good shape. So we're going to be checking out the Interstate 95 overpass here in Georgetown, Massachusetts. Not a whole lot else to say about it, but I just thought it'd be a fun little place to check out. One thing I do want to show you guys, though, are the overhead shots. So in a second, I'm going to break out my drone, and we can just check out some aerial views of this bridge. I'm interested to see what it looks like from above. But as always, guys, my name's J Mass. If you love urban exploration, checking out abandoned sites, and exploring New England, I'm always doing that on the channel, so feel free to subscribe to the channel. Or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. Well, we're going to get started and check out this abandoned Interstate 95 overpass here in Georgetown, Massachusetts, connecting two sides of the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest. Let's check it out. So I hope you guys like those drone shots. It was really interesting to see what the abandoned Interstate 95 overpass looked like from above. It's kind of cool to see that, especially juxtaposed over the very busy Interstate 95 highway system. But now I just want to show you guys a closer view of the bridge itself. And again, this thing has seen better days. Check this out. Cracked asphalt. You got weeds and grass growing out on the sides. You know, rusty cages and fencing. And then, of course, graffiti. The main thing that drew me to this bridge was the amount of graffiti that's been tagged here. Now, one of my favorite types of abandoned places to check out are graffiti-covered roads. I love them. I'm a big fan of graffiti roads. I don't know really what it is about them. They just awake some primal urge in me. I love just seeing colorful tags on a drab gray pavement. Just something my monkey brain likes. And this abandoned Interstate 95 overpass here in Georgetown, Massachusetts has a lot of that to spare. You can see tons of graffiti tags everywhere. Some of it is obviously just random juvenile scribbles, but you do have some pretty cool artwork as well. And it's not a super long bridge either. It's actually pretty modestly sized. Again, this is a pedestrian bridge, so no vehicles are allowed on here, no cars, no motorcycles. It's really just people on foot, and I guess cyclists, skateboarders, So really only for pedestrians and people on bicycles. That's it. This is a pedestrian-only bridge. So as I mentioned, this was constructed in 1974. That's because Interstate 95, at least this portion, was completed in the early 1970s, which basically split the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest in half. And because of that, they wanted to connect the two sides of the forest back together again. Now, interesting fact, the original idea was to make an underpass underneath the highway, but they ended up settling on an overpass, which is what we see today, this overpass here. So at one point, it was actually going to be an underpass. And it was in 1974 when they did complete this overpass. And I couldn't really find much information on when the disrepair and neglect began. So I don't know how long this thing was maintained until they just kind of gave up, but clearly they have given up. I mean, this thing is not in the best shape. But it's really cool to see and kind of fun to walk around. Let me give you guys a shot of the highway, actually. So this, of course, is Interstate 95, one of the busiest highways in Massachusetts. Check that out. And I do apologize again for the loud noises. It's a very loud area with all the cars rushing by. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. I think we'll take a little bit of a closer look, but I did just want to show you guys an overview of this overpass. So as the overpass connects two sides of the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest, it's only right that both sides of the bridge go into the forest with these long pedestrian walkways. And both sides of the bridge have these. There are trails everywhere throughout this forest. It's actually a pretty big public forest. It's a cool site, very beautiful scenic areas. But these are one of the trails on one side of the bridge. Now, the name of the road that we're actually on is the Pingree Farm Road. So even though this is a pedestrian-only walkway, you could argue that this is also somewhat of a fire road, you know, basically for service vehicles. So this is Pingree Farm Road. Pretty cool. And I gotta say, I just really love a lot of the graffiti here. It's really cool, honestly. I kind of mess with it, you know what I mean? So I think we'll do one more walkthrough, kind of see everything. This is entrance here. Hello, welcome. Well, thank you, appreciate that. The other thing you'll notice, which I did mention earlier, but I kind of want to focus on for a second, look at how rusty this fencing is. You can see this thing is not well maintained because it is super rusty. I mean, that's just a tetanus shot waiting to happen. I will say though, it does look like at some point not too long ago, they did put up new fencing behind it. Probably to prevent people from messing around on top. Hopefully no accidents occurred here. But there is a lot of cool stuff, you know, a lot of random drawings and tags and graffiti everywhere. I'm not gonna stop at every single one, but I don't know, they got some cool stuff. I've been to a couple graffiti roads and not really many bridges. I have been to some, not a ton though. I was actually recently in one in Pennsylvania, but the graffiti covered bridge that I went in Pennsylvania actually went over a lake. This one goes over a busy highway. So a bit of a stark difference there. And then this, of course, is the other side of the bridge, again, going right down into the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest. All the way, this way actually goes all the way to the parking lot. And again, this is part of Pingree Farm Road. If I'm not mistaken, I think that it's actually named after a former farm that actually operated here. At one point, the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest was the property of Pingree Farm. I don't know too much about them, so I'll research that as I'm editing the video and include it below. But look at this, some anime girl. I don't really watch anime. I don't know if that's like a famous character, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. The abandoned Interstate 95 overpass. One thing that's kind of interesting to note is, you know, I've driven on this portion of I-95 many times in the past. And when you're driving under this bridge, you don't really notice how much disrepair it's actually in. When you're on the highway and you're driving, you just drive under this bridge and it might just look like a normal average overpass, you know? Again, I've driven on this portion many times. This never really stuck out to me. It's when you're looking at it from an aerial view, especially on Google Maps or Google Satellite View, and you see this thing from above that you can really tell this thing is abandoned. It's the graffiti that really sticks out. but when you're on the highway below, it's kind of hard to tell. And I never really noticed it until Tom from Go Explore told me about it, and we actually scoped it out last year. And then ever since then, I've been kind of fascinated by this because it really is an obscure location. There's like not that much information about it online, and it's not really treated necessarily like an abandoned spot, but it is. I mean, it clearly is abandoned. This thing is suffering insane neglect. It's not being upkept by the Department of Transportation or the Forest Service or whoever owns this bridge. I mean, it's clearly suffering a lot of disrepair, but I'm not complaining. It's cool to walk through. It's cool to see. And as someone who's infatuated with abandoned spots, I like it personally, so I'm not complaining. And again, the graffiti, pretty cool to see. I don't know. I kind of messed with this place. I know it's not too much to see. It's pretty small, but very interesting. Abandoned overpass from 1974, connecting two sides of a state forest. Interesting stuff. One thing that's kind of funny about this abandoned bridge is that there are these little notes everywhere. Some of them are kind of cringe, some of them are kind of funny, and I'm gonna read them all in my voice. So have fun with me and join me as we do a little montage of the best notes here on this abandoned I-95 overpass. I'll sunk your battleship, motherfucker. Daddy's little psycho and mommy's little soldier. Ugh, living in a world full of haters. I'm the goddamn shame of the goddamn pride. Ha ha! Suck it, green boy! Radioactive testosterone! Ooh, I love this song. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. Aw. Yeah, I mean, you're hot, but I'm hotter. Mwah. Love you, baby. This one's pretty funny. Pee and poo. I don't even know it could be funnier than pee and poo. Oh my god, piss and shit! Hey, thank you guys for joining me. I've been J-Mass as always, and this has been another dope New England adventure. And today we checked out the abandoned Interstate 95 overpass here in Georgetown, Massachusetts. It's a pretty interesting little spot, you know. It opened up in 1974, basically to connect two sides of the Georgetown-Rowley State Forest, which were actually split in half by Interstate 95, which cut between them in the early 1970s. And I don't know too much about it from there. I just know that at one point in its history, they stopped maintaining this place, and now it's just a bit of a mess, you know. Cracked asphalt, weeds, rusty metal, graffiti, the whole 9 yards. I don't know what happened here, and I don't know what led to this point, but it is a really interesting landmark here in northeastern Massachusetts. And I'm glad I got to bring you guys along with me because I came here a couple months ago. I didn't film a video at the time, but I was like, I want to come back here and check this place out in more detail. So I hope you guys liked it. This was a cool one, and I also hope you like the drone shots. I think those really do this place justice when you get to see this bridge from above. But yeah, guys, I've been J-Mass as always. If you love abandoned sites, urban exploration, and traveling New England, I'm always doing that on the channel, so feel free to subscribe. Or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. Now, I've been J-Mass. This was the abandoned Interstate 95 bridge here in Georgetown, Massachusetts. And I just want to say to you guys, GG, good game. If you see that, it's right there. I thought it was funny.